This is Naomi Den, mother of EQ2 Traders Corner, back again with part 3 of 5 of the walkthrough for the Scrivener's Tale, which is a 24-quest trade skill line that will be released with the Chaos Descending expansion in EQ2. Most of this quest will be involved with Doomfire the Burning Lands, except this first part, which is basically sending you to talk to the right person. So you speak to Raman, who sends you across the room to Gita after telling you that, well, you can't tag along with him on his trip after all because Gita needs you. Maybe you can get a rain check, maybe you can't. It's left up in the air. So Gita has another task for you. She warns that the person you're going to be dealing with is not all that easy to get along with, but his heart's in the right place. What she means by that, you're about to find out. Morndex is a rather grumpy dark elf who immediately snaps at you. So either be nice and apologetic or snap back. Either way, have your little conversation with him, and he's going to send you to Doomfire, and he's going to meet you there. Before he can go too deep on his research, he has to have a thermal dissipation potion to protect him from the elements in Doomfire. You don't seem to need any sort of protection, although he does kind of imply that he's going to have enough for both you and he, but he's going to send you deeper into Doomfire to harvest before you've gotten the potion, so that tells you exactly how bad it is. He's just a wimpy dark elf. And yes, I know, I'm getting things thrown at me, people are making faces at the screen and so forth, because I'm dissing dark elves even though I have one. I'm feeling bratty. You'll have to deal with it. So basically, you travel to Doomfire, and you're going to get hit with a harvesting step. Not only is it a harvesting step, however, these quests for Doomfire require that you harvest in Doomfire, which is not the friendliest of places to harvest, but it is what it is. You know, you're a level 110 crafter, you've got to expect some danger, and this section is going to do it. So you're going to go out and harvest 18 basilisk meat, 18 nimbic hide, 18 reef clusters, 18 doom palm lumber, and you've already got the thermal dissipation potion recipe in your inventory, and if you look at it, you're going to need 50 celestial candle as well, and right next to Morndex and your exit is a chemistry table, so you're all set for that. I'm going to pause and go harvest. Once you've harvested everything, craft the potion, return it to Morndex, receive your first consumable pattern for mount gear. You will need not only the recipes for the mount gear, which will be mission chest drops and we're not sure how else, but you will also need a matching pattern. And this gives you your choice of one piece of mount gear pattern for the Archivist's quality level, which is basically the master crafted. There is one quality level above it and 2 quality levels below it. Each batch will have their own batch of recipes, of course. So now he wants you to go find some red crystal shards that he thinks will help protect the library, or empower the library, I should say. You were immediately given a waypoint wisp by the quest, and if you follow it, you'll find this strange glowing red shard. Poof! You just got teleported. Not very far. I mean, you can see my pony running along in the distance there. It was not very far away at all, because there's your entrance to the zone over there, that red glow. So you didn't come far at all, but he teleported you out of the way, explains that the Jopal are very protective of those shards because they use them to heat their nests. He suggests that you make some cinder beds that will give them heated nests instead, and that way you can trade them for the crystals. And guess what? More harvesting. A lot more harvesting, because you're going to make 5 beds. So you will need 50 dew palm lumber, 75 nimbic hide, and 60 strangler roots, which will take a little while. So I'm going to leave you again and be back after I'm done harvesting. While I craft the 5th one of the cinder beds, 3 things. First, do not try to mass produce this. It will not work. All you will do is waste resources. Second, since you need 5 combines, you will need 250 celestial sandpaper for this quest. Third, remember when you're hunting for roots that the celestial nursery can also drop the roots. So you don't just have to look for the strangler roots, you have to look for the nurseries as well and grab whichever one happens to be handy and hope for roots. Once you have all 5 beds that you can even use the handy dandy little woodworking table near the zone in, you have to place them. There are more than 5 placement spots. This lets you pick and choose based on what mobs are in the area and so forth. As you can see, it's glowing white and red. The red is harder to see and won't show up until you're close like this, but it blends in with the ground. But you gotta get kind of close. Place it, bada boom, bada bing. Doesn't look too comfy to me, but they like it. It's heated. It'll work. And you've snagged a crystal at the same time, whether you realize it or not. As you will find out in the dialogue shortly. You just kind of are grabbing crystals after you place the beds to distract them. Ooh, fire shiny. Isn't it nice and fiery? It makes it easy to see them from a distance. I'm going to resist the urge because it's a total waste over here for me and place another bed. But the shiny, it's calling to me. Shiny! Okay, enough whining. Beds are placed. Now we head back to Zuvet, whatever you want to call him. The Z-Man. Report in, tell him that you got the shards. And guess what? You've just earned your own replica of Morndax. Aren't you just so lucky you can place him in your house now? You really want a reminder of how grumpy he is. At the same time, it is a really handy little thing, you know, for people that are looking for miniature people for whatever reason. Maybe to stick him in a snow globe or something. So you accept your reward, and then you find out that Zuvet thinks that it's been destined that the two of you will meet, and he wants this monument to Very Grow to be repaired. So he's going to send you out harvesting again. You're going to collect 5 cinder blooms, 8 strangler roots, and 8 reef clusters. Now, I'm going to show you what the cinder blooms look like, because that's going to be the hardest part of this, is just knowing what you're looking for and where you'll find them. See, they're nice little red, blue, and orange and yellow blooms. You need 5 of them. There are quite a few scattered along the shoreline. You don't need to get near aggro mobs or anything like that. Just don't fall in the lava. Lava bad. But they will be all along this shoreline for quite a distance. So if you find an area like this that looks like it's been picked through, keep circling around, and you will find more. The respawn rate is good, and as you can see, I just passed by one, but there's a couple more. They're scattered pretty well. There's a lot of them in the distance. You don't really need to worry about competition. You just need to worry about flying it far enough to find some up. And since I'm right here, I'm going to grab the reef clusters, or somebody picked two harvests off a node and left it. That's just so rude to leave the last one like that, because that wasn't enough reef clusters for me. So I'm going to pause, go harvest, grumble a little, and I'll be back. Just to prove that inconsiderate people can exist in beta just as well as they can on the live servers and so forth, I found 3 different reef nodes that had only 1 harvest apiece left on them, which really messes up respawn timers and things like that. You really should pull all 3, even if you only need 2 of the pulls, so that the doggone thing can respawn properly so somebody else can get the full amount that they need. Anyway, that's my mini rant for the night. I'll step off my soapbox and we'll go back to talking to Zuvet. And then he takes the components that you give him and does something esoteric to them so that they come into a monument repair kit. You grab stuff from the chest that's right beside him here, or right in front of him, that include the recipe scroll and all of the hardware that you need. You go over to the monument and you actually use it to craft before you even repair. Of course, it helps if you actually scribe the scroll first so that it shows up in the book, but it is the only thing that will show up on this monument is the monument repair kit. There won't be any digging through the recipe book or anything like that. Just make sure you've scribed the recipe, unlike a tired mom, and you're all set. Once you're done, right-click the monument, replace worn monument. There it goes, changed appearance and all. Talk to him again. He wants you to polish it now. You go back to the chest, you take another batch of components, and you go back and you do your monument repair kit. You'll notice that it takes 50 celestial coal, so for this step between the 2 combines, you need 100 celestial coal. And then, apparently it should have been named a monument repair and polishing kit, since it can be used for both repairing and polishing, but this is shorter at least. So right-click again, polish the monument, talk to him again, tell him how nicely it turned out, and he hands you some shards. Only the shards burn a hole through your bag, more or less, is what they say, and fall to the ground. They're a little too hot to handle. So you click on the bag, inspect it, pick up the next quest, which is difficulties delivering. And you need an unscorchable bag from within the cinder quartz or cinder nests. That means any of the wasp stuff to either the north or the south may have an unscorchable bag. It will be listed as a strange bag. I don't even have to filter because it's close enough to me this time that I can track it. Problem is, tracking here is hard because you've got 3 dimensions and your waypoint wisp keeps wanting to go to those tree branches or roots or whatever you want to call them, vines. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. They go to the vines and it wants you to walk up or down a path and you know, along the vines, and it sometimes makes it very hard to find this. This time is easy. If it had not been easy, or if there had been wasps directly above here, which have been killed off if they were here, you may be squishy enough that you want to wait for a few minutes for it to move elsewhere. If you have more money than patience, which may be possible, not everybody wants to wait around, and some people have a lot of money, so it's up to you. If you have more money than you have patience, you head to the side of the hills here. Let me show you on the map. You're down in the southwest corner. There's this fellow named Cravat. Now here comes the sticker shock. 120 plat, 5 copper. So if you do not find the bag, or it's too dangerous for you and you don't want to wait, you can spend 120 plat and buy a bag. I was lucky, I found the bag quickly. My record before it could be tracked was 30 minutes. Thankfully, Ninja listened to my whimpers and put in the tracking before this quest even hit the open part of the beta, so that was good. I don't want to think of the screams we would have heard otherwise. It was not fun. I was going and peeking in every single nest and grabbing all that aggro, and at the time, the wasps were a little more overpowered than they were now, so it was rather painful. Anyway, you return to Zuvet. You don't hail him, you just click on the bag, which has the quest book over it. Boom, you have your shards. You can return to Morndax, who's just down here. It's not a long trip at all. Hand them in. He's happily surprised at how you got that many that quickly, and he sends you back to Mirist. By this point, you've probably gotten so that you can find Gita in your sleep. Thankfully, one thing that I hadn't mentioned during this quest write-up was that while you cannot see your mount while you're in Mirist, your mount buff should be there, it should be working. They just have the mount display turned off for the entire zone so that people aren't parking ginormous mounts on top of quest targets. It can be a real problem in some of these zones because people have their own mount display turned off and they forget how big and huge and fat and oversized they are and how rude it is to other players. You can't get access to some NPCs, some ground spawns and things like that, and there are ground spawns in this zone for some book quests. But you won't see those until you find the books hidden in the library. And I'm not sure if there's an adventure level tied to those books. I have not had time to test it. If there is not, then you can go rummaging around the library and find the books yourself. And then you find the pages on the ground and finish the collection that way. But enough about that. We're finally back at Gita. And we receive the Elysian, which is the top version of tradeskill tack patterns, and you get to choose one of those. It will unpack and you get to choose one. And then the recipe scroll for the Divine Weapons of Ro, which are raid weapons specifically for Doomfire raids. That concludes this part of the write-up and the walkthrough. I'm going to keep calling it the write-up even though it's not. It's a walkthrough. I'm tired. Anyway, this concludes this part. The actual write-up will be on eq2.eqtraders.com. It is completed. It is already posted. And I will be back shortly with the fourth chunk of this walkthrough.